All right, so let's kick off. Let's start. Let's talk about Irish football here going into spring practice. We're in a good situation, Notre Dame fans. We absolutely are. We have three former offensive coordinators that we have hired on to our coaching staff or promoted in our coaching staff to take over the specific roles that needed to be filled after Tommy Rees left. So the first one I want to introduce is Gino Guidugli. Uh, it's spelled Guidugli, but apparently it's pronounced Guidugli. Um, Great guy from he's from Kentucky. He's coached with Coach Marcus Freeman before. He was the quarterbacks coach at Cincinnati. He was a quarterback at Cincinnati actually in his previous life, right? And so all of those great Cincinnati teams, that were led by Luke Fickle and the defense was coached by Coach Freeman. He was the quarterbacks coach for those teams. He was a co-offensive coordinator as well. So, so we're in a good position, I think, picking him up. He hasn't developed the, like that elite level quarterback yet. But I don't think that means that he's not going to. I think he hasn't gotten the kind of caliber of player at Cincinnati that we're capable of getting at Notre Dame. And he's got a lot of coaching experience. He's coached in 8 bowl games, the Fenway Bowl, Cotton Bowl with Cincinnati, the Peach Bowl, Birmingham Bowl, right? So he's been in a lot of different bowl games. He's got experience playing as a quarterback. He's maybe he wasn't as athletically inclined, as some of these other guys that are out there, right? Because he played quarterback at Cincinnati from 2001 to 2004. So, young guy overall, late 30s, early 40s. Honestly, I'm excited about him. I'm excited to see what he can do at Notre Dame, and I'm glad that he's going to get a chance to do that. Most importantly, he has some offensive coordinating experience, right? So we promoted Gerard Parker, our tight ends coach, to be our offensive coordinator. Great internal hire, great internal promotion. Gerard Parker's got a lot of experience playing a lot of different positions. So, I mean, this poor guy, he's been everywhere. So he started as a wide receivers and defensive backs coach in 2005 for Raceland High School. And since then, he has bounced around to like 10 or 11 different teams. It seems like every time he turns around, he's getting, promoted or moved on or shuffled someplace. Somebody else wants him, right? So most notably, started really coaching in college at Marshall in 2011, spent 2 years there, went to Purdue, spent 2 years there as the tight ends and recruiting coordinator. Then he became the wide receivers coordinator. So he's had some time there. He was the interim head coach at Purdue in 2016. And those were not good years for Purdue, by the way. If you remember those years for Purdue, those were the years where Purdue, those were my undergraduate years. I was at Purdue during that time. Okay, Purdue had 6 wins in 3 years. They were barely bowl eligible if you combined their wins for 3 freaking years, right? Those were not good years. But that being said, that doesn't mean that they didn't have good talent. They just didn't have a very good head coach. They made a lot of poor coaching decisions. They struggled a little bit on the recruiting side, So this guy, he's learned in the School of Hard Knocks, which at the time the School of Hard Knocks was Purdue. Actually, 2016, when he was the interim head coach, Purdue did well. So that's a good sign. Ended up going to Cincinnati, becoming the running backs coach at Cincinnati, so he's got a little bit of coaching experience with Coach Freeman. That's probably where they knew each other from before he came to Notre Dame. Then he went on to be the Duke offensive operations assistant. Next year, he's Duke's wide receivers coach. After that, he's the Penn State wide receivers coach. So he gets, called over by Penn State to go coach 1 year with them. Yes, Astral, I am awake this early. Work starts a little bit early for me, buddy. Yeah, and then so he goes to Penn State, and then he gets a chance to be the offensive coordinator at West Virginia and the wide receivers coach at West Virginia from 2020 to 2021. Becomes the Notre Dame tight ends coach last year, right? We know he did good things helping coach Michael Mayer. So I mean, he's got a lot of coaching experience. I think he's going to do really well. But most importantly, he seems like the kind of person who's going to take the talent that's been put around him and use that talent, right? Use all of that extra knowledge that's out there, like Gino Guidugli, and say, hey, what do you think we should do in this situation? Or I'm going for this, and if another coach steps in and says, whoa, hey, hold on, let's talk about this. He's got the experience around him, to take the advice, bounce ideas off of other folks, and get the job done. All right. So the newest hire. We had talked about those two guys before. Those announcements are, aging on a month old at this point in time. Our newest hire late last week. Last week. Last Tuesday. Was early last week. Was with Joe Rudolph was named the new offensive line coach for Notre Dame. Joe Rudolph most recently was at Wisconsin. So, was most recently at Virginia Tech. He coached a lot of really good Wisconsin offensive lines up to 2021. Last season he went to Virginia Tech, spent a year at Virginia Tech. Now he, as the co-offensive coordinator and offensive line coach there. Now he's coming to Notre Dame as the offensive line coach. So that's something that we should be excited about as well. This guy's an 18-year veteran. He had a lot of really good experience at University of Wisconsin. Has coached a lot of really good offensive lines. Gotten a lot of young candidates into the NFL. This is exactly what we needed after losing, quite possibly one of the best offensive line coaches in the country. So, honestly, I think this is something to be hyped about. I wasn't so sure about it when I first saw it. I was like, man, who is this guy? I've never heard of this guy before. And that's just because I think we as fans, right? Even passionate fans, we don't pay enough attention all the time to kind of like who the offensive coordinator is or who the defensive coordinator is out there with teams that we don't spend a lot of time watching, right? I don't watch a lot of Wisconsin football. I watch Wisconsin, I'll watch them when they play Ohio State or when they play Michigan. If it's one of the big games, I'll watch the Wisconsin-Minnesota game every once in a while. But normally there's a more exciting game on, and I don't watch every college football game throughout the week because my wife would kill me. I would literally spend all week watching game tape, and I don't think she would allow that. It's not my full-time job. Right. My wife would not actually kill me. I don't think if you know her and you've met her during our night prayer, she's probably the sweetest person on the face of the planet. But she would be very unhappy with me. Let's just put it that way. I would probably take a walk out in the backyard, build myself a doghouse, and go live in it for a little while if I were to do that. Yeah. Joe Rudolph, though, somebody to be excited about, right? This is going to turn out really well for the Irish. I think we've got the talent in place this year. Am I saying it's going to be a national championship year? No, I'm not. Am I saying it's going to be an 11, 10 or 11 win year, at least? I think it will be. We've got all the talent at wide receiver. We've got an up and coming tight end who's finally getting a shot, right? We've got some good talent behind him too as well, by the way. We've got all the talent we need at running back. And some of the questions that we had on defense, I mean, we'll see, but honestly, like, I think we're in store for a really good season. As long as we can stay healthy, we're in store for an 11-win season pretty easily, a very good bowl game. We've got a shot at that national championship. We've got a shot at that, at that bowl playoff this year. So I'd love to see it. I think we'll get there. I think 10-2 would be a pretty bad season for us. If we finish the regular season at 10-2, I think that's going to be a pretty bad season for us. If we finish it at 9-3, that's going to be a really bad season for us. People are going to be scratching their heads saying, "What the heck happened?" Because we've got all the talent in place. We've got all of the talent in place. So we'll see where this goes. I'm excited about the spring practice game. That'll be, I want to say that's April 22nd, right? So I'll record that and watch it. I'll be in South Bend, but I'll be doing something else that weekend. Excited to watch that game, see what happens, and it'll also, of course, be on live stream on Peacock Network. Let's talk World Baseball Classic. If you are not watching the World Baseball Classic right now, you are missing some really good baseball. I was looking for some baseball the other day, and I said, all right, do I want to watch the World Baseball Classic or do I want to watch spring training? And the spring training game that was on, it was like the Red Sox and the Twins. I was kind of interested in that, right? But I'm not a big fan of watching of a lot of the American League teams. I'm not a big Boston and Twin Cities guy, and I was just kind of like, maybe I'll watch this game. But the two teams were not a huge interest to me, right? So I said, well, what else is on this? Like this World Baseball Classic. I've been seeing some highlights of this on Instagram, on social media. They're making it look really exciting. Maybe it is. Maybe it is actually pretty exciting. And I was kind of skeptical going into it. Like how exciting could it really be? I ended up turning on Puerto Rico and Nicaragua. Puerto Rico and Nicaragua. It was a good game. It was a really good game, And I mean, we got some of if you're a Major League Baseball fan, which I know not everybody is, right? But if you're a Major League Baseball fan, you've got a lot of your favorite players out there playing in this World Baseball Classic, representing these different teams. Man, I was so excited, watching Puerto Rico win that game. That was a phenomenal game. You've got Javi Baez out there playing second base. So, there's always talent, or there's always something interesting to watch when he's out there playing. Dominican Republic and U.S. have been long favored to win. So here's how it's working. Let me pull up. Let me zoom in on this. Let me pull up my screen, because I don't think a lot of folks really understand how this works. Of course, I messed that up. So, yep, I canceled my screen like a dum-dum. Like a dum-dum. All right, here we go. Yeah, I'll just leave that there. All right, so Pool A and Pool B are done, right? Pool A, they played in Taiwan. That was Taiwan, the Netherlands, Cuba, Italy, and Panama. So that was Pool A. They're done. They finished on Saturday. Pool B, Japan, Korea, Australia, China, Czech Republic, they're done. They finished yesterday. Japan had 4 wins. They're in. China, I think, lost 4 in a row, they're out. Top 2 teams move on to the quarterfinals. So Japan will play as the Pool A winner here. Will play whoever the winner was for, or I'm sorry, Japan here is the Pool B winner. Will play the Pool A runner up. And those games start later this week. That game's Thursday. And then the Pool B runner up and the Pool A winner will play on Wednesday. As soon as Pool C and Pool B are done. All these games, they're all on FS1 and FS2. A couple of them are on Fox. United States played Mexico last night on FS1. It was a game in prime time. That was an exciting game. Mexico was up 7-1 in the fourth. The final score ended up being like 9-5 or something along those lines. But there's been a lot of hitting. I've seen bunts laid down for the first time in baseball, like consistently, and bunted well for the first time in 10 years, right? As somebody who lives here in the Seattle area, and Seattle baseball is kind of a big thing among baseball fans. All the Seattle fans can absolutely remember important games at the end of last season. And it's like, hey, we just need a sac bunt. We need a base runner on second, right? And what's the guy do? He pops the bunt up to the catcher. Here we've got some good talent, AAA talent, AA talent even, coming out here playing in some very important games, representing their nation or representing their territory, doing some awesome things to represent where they're from. And not all these players are playing major leagues. They're not all playing in the show. Some of them are out there just trying to get a shot, right? Or to get their first shot. Designated hitter for Mexico last night hit 2 home runs. Menace, what an amazing hitter. This guy takes a fastball up and in on his hands and sends it for a bomb. Shohei Ohtani, yeah, he had a great show out for Japan. And Japan is an obvious favorite in that Pool A, Pool B, with 4 wins in their section. And honestly, I don't expect anybody in Pool A to really give them a huge run for their money. So, if you're not watching the World Baseball Classic and you're at all interested in baseball, if you've even just had a marginal interest in baseball, if you think baseball is boring, even, I challenge you, turn on FS1 or turn on FS2, find one of these games, watch 3 or 4 innings. You will find an interest in baseball. They're still using last year's rules, so they're using the 2022 rules. There's still a shift. Right, the shift is still allowed. That's been changed in Major League Baseball. Shifting is no longer allowed. I understand the reason for it. I don't love it. Right, I kind of wish they had managed around it versus making up some rule to like keep it in place where the infielders have to be on the infield dirt and all this kind of stuff. I don't love the pitch clock thing and the automatic strikes. I understand we need to speed the game up. I just think there were better ways to do that. I get removing this shift from the game a little bit. Again, it's done. I'm not super happy about it, but it's definitely going to make the game more interesting. There'll be more base hits, stuff like that. The pitch clock, I think that was a little excessive. We'll see how long that lasts. We'll see if it goes away. Bigger bases, okay, fine, right? Like, it prevents injuries, great. I'm on board. I'm on board with preventing injuries. I'd like players to play healthy. We spend a lot of money as fans. Ticket prices continue to go up, right? And then we get players that are unhealthy. We can't go watch the players that we want to when we go to a game. That's not fun, right? If you're spending $65 to sit in the nosebleeds and you don't even get to see the players that you came to watch, that's not fun. So I'm all about keeping players healthy. Yeah, let's do that. So, but if you're not excited about baseball for whatever reason, you think it's boring, like I said, I challenge you. Watch 4 or 5 innings of the World Baseball Classic. The games are on all day. They've been a lot of fun. A lot of high scoring games. A lot of really good games. Pool D has been really exciting. Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic are both very exciting teams to watch. Israel was an exciting team to watch the other day. I watched Israel and Nicaragua yesterday morning. United States and Mexico were exciting to watch last night. Check it out. Check it out. I think you'll enjoy it. I think you'll have a lot of fun. Oof. Ash, I'm sorry to hear about a 2 liter of root beer exploding in your refrigerator. That sounds terrible. Thank you for listening, though. That, it is sports talk, so listening is, that's how a lot of folks will do it. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you so much. Again, community, if you're out there listening right now, it's like I said this morning, God, family, community. If you're out there listening, you're part of my community. You've chosen to be here this morning. Thank you for being part of that community. You are, and I do try to keep it in that order: God, family, community. But community is just such an important thing, and so I'm very grateful for you being here this morning, listening, as I talk sports, and for being here, interacting, as I'm here, talking about all of the going-ons in the wild world of sports out there. All right. Next topic. What did I say I was going to do next here? You tell me. No, really, you tell me. I joke. Oh, the Chicago Bears trade. Okay. Man, I tell you what, the Chicago Bears have not made a trade this good in my memory, like in my memory anyway, at least in the last 30 years. So the Bears trade their number 1 pick to move down to number 9 with the Carolina Panthers. They got so much for this trade, I actually have to look it up again to see what they got. Because they got... Oh. So they got the number 1 pick from the Panthers this year. The number 1 pick from the Panthers last year. A number 2 pick from the Panthers. I can't remember which number 2 pick. Seriously, I gotta pull this up again. I gotta pull this up again because it's absolutely nuts. Yep. All right. 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and DJ Moore. So they get the Panthers' first-round pick this year, the Panthers' first-round pick next year, the Panthers' second-round pick this year, the Panthers' second-round pick next year, and wide receiver DJ Moore. DJ Moore's an elite wide receiver. He was the best wide receiver in Carolina. I don't know what Carolina's got behind him. But that being said, I mean, yeah. The Bears have some room to mess it up now. Yeah. Moore was a huge... You were absolutely right, Irish Sailor. Moore was a huge piece of that trade. That might have been the best thing that the Bears got in that trade. Because we've all seen the Bears mess up draft picks over the course of the years. We've all, everybody, it's not that long ago that the Bears traded up to the first round to get Mitch Trubisky, right? We don't have to think very far or very hard back into the past to remember the Bears picking up Mitch Trubisky in the first round. And it's like, guys, what were you doing? Patrick Mahomes was on the docket as somebody that you could have picked that year, and instead they picked Mitch Trubisky. I was mind blown. Um, we also don't have to think very far back into the distant past to remember the Bears re-signing Jay Cutler for a 10-year contract in this free agency year. I think they just stopped paying on that, by the way. Right. So the Bears can mess this up. But what they can't mess up is that they got DJ Moore. Right. They now have a great core of wide receivers. They've got DJ Moore, they've got Chase Claypool, they've got Mooney, right? So they've got three really good wide receivers. They've got Justin Fields. I'm not sold on the Bears running back situation, but that's fine. You don't need a great running back. You don't need to go out there and spend millions on a top tier running back to have a top tier football team. And let's not forget that they've got Cole Kmet, who really had kind of a come out year last year, or breakout year last year. Yeah, like the Bears, they've got some room to mess this up. But that being said, they've also got some room to do some really great things with this team. They did bring back defensive lineman Andrew Brown. They did bring back cornerback Josh Blackwell. So both of those things happened on March 10th as well. They released their defensive end Alon Al-Quadin Muhammad after just one season back on February 17th. Dieter Eisland's coming back. Kari Blasingame got a 2-year contract from the Bears on March 8th, right? So they're starting to make some moves here in free agency. We'll see what happens with that. Honestly, the other big kind of topic of conversation out there in the NFL has to do with Lamar Jackson. What's going on there? Why hasn't he been picked up yet? I think there are a lot of reasons for it that he hasn't been picked up yet. I think the biggest reason though is money. Yeah, he's gonna get picked up. Somebody's gonna pick him up, no doubt, right? There are a lot of teams out there that need quarterbacks, and he's a top tier quarterback. If you're rating, if you're doing the whole like S A B C D whatever tier quarterback, like he's definitely in that S to A category. I mean, great quarterback. He'll take somebody to a Super Bowl, right? Maybe who knows if he'll win a Super Bowl, but he'll definitely take a team to a Super Bowl. Can he get whatever team he goes to there? Well, we'll see. Honestly, I think the Colts may very well end up picking him up and tendering him a deal, because the Texans are probably going to take a quarterback. So the top two quarterbacks are now removed from the pool, right? The Colts are sitting there with a number 5 pick. So, so what do? What do the Falcons do? The Falcons are down there. They've got like the number 7 or number 8 pick. They need a quarterback as well. So one of those teams is going to pick up Lamar. It's just going to be. I think they're trying to make him nervous, make him settle down on the money conversation. And honestly, if he doesn't budge on the money, maybe he doesn't get picked up. But I very highly doubt that. There are just too many teams out there that need a good quarterback. Yeah, Jimmy G's out there. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah, right. Lamar does have a franchise tag. Yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo's out there too. So he could. We'll probably see him get moved, because I think Brock Purdy's going to start. I think they've. It sounds like San Francisco's decided that. And how do you not start the guy that did everything that he needed to do to finish the season out for you in San Francisco to get you in the playoffs, and make a great playoff showing? How do you not start him? Young man did everything they asked him to do. All right, we are going to pull up a March Madness bracket here. Oh, right, I forgot Purdy's injured. All right. So yesterday was Selection Sunday. Actually, really quick, before we do that, I'm going to take a 1 minute commercial break. This will be the only time that you ever see ads in my stream. So if you're in my stream when I play Fortnite or or when I do night prayer or anything else, right? I don't have ads in my stream, but I do run one ad just to take a quick break during the sports segment. So I'll be back very shortly. Quick 1 minute break for just to kind of like recycle my mind here a little bit. It's early in the morning, but yeah, and then we will do a we'll do the bracket right here on air. I haven't done my picks yet, so we'll put them together. You can tell me whether or not you think it's a bad choice or not, and we'll see how it all plays out. And if you're subbed, you won't see the ads. All right, welcome back. Let me. I'm gonna move my camera here a little bit. We'll do that. That will work. So we'll start with first four. Come on. Really, is that how that's gonna go? I want to build the bracket. Thought about doing a women's bracket, actually. All right. I might need to sign in here. Looks like I got to sign in. That's fine. All right. That'll work. Okay. Wow. I'm just ESPN fan, huh? Now, what do we got going on here? That doesn't look right. That's because that's the women's bracket. I was like, what's going? That's no. I did want to do. I did think about doing a women's bracket, but that was not the intention right now. All right. I guess we'll start with the South. I'm going to take Alabama. I'm going to take Virginia over Furman. Yeah, so March Madness is starting, right? Ash, you've probably heard John talk about how he's doing this big March Madness thing at the end of the week. If you're going to Nashville for that, that'll be a lot of fun. Um, so like every year, in March, right around this time of the year, it normally starts mid March, right around St. Patrick's Day, and it lasts until like the beginning of April. So in this year, the national championships in Houston on April 3rd. The round of 64 starts this Thursday, Friday, which will be the games that John will be watching in Nashville with his community. I would love to go to that. I just have other trips planned, going to the Grand Canyon the following week, so I will actually miss all of or most of the Sweet 16, Elite Eight games. And Final Four. I'll probably miss the Final Four games as well, because I will be gone celebrating my birthday that week with my family, with my son in the Grand Canyon. So, yeah, I hear you. Um, I'm gonna take Missouri over Utah State and Arizona over Princeton, so that'll be a little bit easier. But yeah, so the idea is, right, like every year they have they put together a bracket, and a lot of people they do bets with teams. I thought about doing it with the community this year, um, and just like $5 a bracket, winner takes all. Uh, I just don't have a big enough community of sports fans to do that yet, right? I think you've noticed that most of the people in the community that are really active in the community, they're either not sports fans, or just kind of like not super interested in this kind of stuff. So, so yeah, the idea is that we go ahead and we put together a college bracket. Um, in future years we'll do this. We'll probably we'll do it offline. We won't do it on stream, but we'll get in the Discord. $5 a bracket, and whoever gets the most points, winner takes all. And you do it by points, right? So you get like 1 point for the round of 64, 2 for the round of 32, 4 for 16, 8 for the Elite Eight, and then like if you pick the winner, you get the most points. So there's a breakdown to how you do the points every year. And I'd follow the conventional rules. I don't remember what those conventional rules always are off the top of my head, but that's usually about how that works. And so there's also this thing out there, right? Uh, every year, like Warren Buffett says, like, oh, I'll give $1 million for a perfect bracket, right? And it's like you know nothing about how it works. You literally just pick teams. You literally just pick the team that you think is going to win each game, right? And then based on picking your first set of teams, you pick your second set of teams all the way to a national championship. But Warren Buffett does this, and statistically, like he's never going to lose his money unless like a group of a few thousand people get together and say like, oh hey, we're like we'll make or actually probably be like close to over 1 million people. We'll all make less than $1 so that we can get the perfect bracket, because you would literally have to pick every combination in order to try to get it right, because there's always upsets, right? It's yeah. it's pretty phenomenal the way this always ends up going. I don't watch enough college basketball, so I'm always very bad at this. Right? I normally watch a little bit of college basketball like in November, December before things really heat up, and then I start watching again right around March Madness. So I've watched a little bit of college hoops. I haven't watched a ton of the tournaments here lately. I've been more focused on baseball starting, been really focused on work. So, am I going to do a good job of picking this? Probably not. But it's fun to do, and it's fun to talk about, right? So I would love to say I'm going to pick Xavier over Kennesaw State. I don't think Kennesaw State's got a snowball's chance at beating Xavier, but we'll see, right? Like I haven't watched a whole lot of Kennesaw State basketball. I haven't paid attention to Kennesaw State since I left Georgia. So you never know what's going to happen. A few years ago, so they are in. Oh gosh, where are they at? I know they're in. I thought they were playing Kentucky. I guess not. Thought Oral Roberts was in. A few years ago, Oral Roberts went on like a heck of a run. Um, which was really fun to see. The Irish have been out, for the last few years. They made it to the NIL when we're expected to win the NIL a couple years ago, or NIT. Sorry. They were expected to win the NIT a couple years ago. That didn't happen. It's kind of, oh, there they are. Oral Roberts is playing Duke. I'm going to take Oral Roberts just because I don't like Duke and I do like Oral Roberts. I want him to win. So, yeah. Is that a bad pick? Yeah, probably. Would I like to see it happen? Heck yeah, I would. I'm going to take Purdue all the way to the Final Four. They've got 5 losses on the season. They weren't bad. None of them were bad losses. You would play Duke is run 10 in a row. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I can't do it. You're right. I can't do that. Kansas State. Michigan State's been hot. I'm going to take Memphis over Florida Atlantic. I don't like the Zags, but I got to pick the Zags. I'll take Northwestern over Boise State, UConn, St. Mary's, Kansas over Howard, and gosh, I'll take the Illini. Why not? No, I'm going to take Arkansas. I think, I honestly, I hate to say it, but I think the SEC is a little tougher than the Big Ten this year. Go A&M, Iowa State, IU, Miami, Auburn, Houston, West Virginia. I don't know about that. I'm a little touchy on that one. We'll see. I'm going to take Charleston Southern over San Diego State, NC State over Creighton. That's Elite 8. I want Purdue in the Final Four. So now that now I'll kind of like pick out my my Final Four teams. I'm gonna take UCLA to the Final Four. Ash, I don't know if my dad's gonna talk a whole lot to you in chat. Man, I don't know. Oh, Xavier in Texas. That's a tough one for me. Yes, it is. So let's see. I'll take Houston and IU. I'm going to take Xavier and Texas. um, all right. I'm going to take Houston to the Final Four. And I'm going to take, Baylor, Arizona. This is tough. Normally there's a good set of front runners. Take Arizona. All right, I'll take Arizona. I think Bam is going to get to the. I think Bam will get to Elite Eight. I'm gonna take Texas over the Muskies. I'm gonna take Baylor over NC State. Take Virginia over Charleston Southern. I'm gonna take St. Mary's over UConn just because I'm not a big fan of UConn. Kansas. I'm gonna take Kentucky over K-State. I'm gonna take Marquette, and I'll take I'll take Duke. I'm missing one. Oh, that's because okay. And I think it's gonna be Arizona and Houston. We'll go 67 to 61. Sure. What did it says I missed something. Oh, okay. The Zags. I'm gonna take TCU over the Zags. I just don't like the Zags. Take Michigan teams unless they suck. I'm not taking Michigan teams, sorry. I took Michigan State in the first round against Southern Cal. University of Michigan's out. They lost in the first round of the Big Ten tournament to Rutgers. Yeah. Michigan and Michigan State played all right in the Big Ten tournament, but those teams have not been good this year. Purdue's been hot. They had their first outright win of the Big Ten tournament this year, so that's why I'm taking them to the Final Four. All right, we'll go with that. Of course, I got to fill a bunch of stuff out. All right, well, I'm not going to dox myself here, so. I don't know why they need me to do this again. I've already done this. I'll put this bracket in the Discord here when we're done, so you guys can take a look. If you wanna make a bracket too, just for fun, we'll compare a little bit this year, and then maybe next year, once we get a little bit bigger, we can actually have a bracket challenge. No. Oh, I forgot that's going to be a home game for Houston. Okay. Well, anyway. All right. Well, we got a little bit of time left. So, we'll talk a little bit about the Chicago Cubs. Um, the Cubs have had interesting some interesting players out there. They got some good prospects out there that have been really kind of showing out the last few days. And they did lose yesterday, right? But they in spring training record doesn't mean a whole lot, right? It shows off your pitching prospects a little bit, but all in all, it doesn't tell you a whole lot unless you're watching every game and watching every player. How the how the team is going to show out and how the team is going to show up by the end of the year. So there is one particular player that I'm really excited about. The Cubs have got a fast center fielder prospect, Pete Crow Armstrong. He's 20 years old from Los Angeles. He was drafted by the Mets. He's a lefty, and the dude is just quick. He's made some absolutely phenomenal catches here in spring training. Made a big diving catch to save an out, or to save a run. And he's just really quick on his feet. Now, is he going to start? No, because the Cubs have Bellinger. So he's not gonna take that spot. But might he find his way into the rotation this year? Actually, I think there's a pretty good chance of that. We'll see what happens, right? The 40-man roster is coming, I want to say, in 3 weeks, 2 weeks. $40-man roster. 40-man roster should be done. Yep, 40-man roster's done. Why do I always get that confused? All right. So let's see what the Cubs 40-man roster looks like. I don't think he's on it. Nope, he's not. I think he'll make it though. I think he'll make it. I think he'll make it onto the roster. Um, we'll see some roster adjustments here before too much longer. The biggest thing he might have to do is work on his bat, but just to see that kind of phenomenal defense in the outfield is great. And honestly, sometimes you bring a guy up for defense. You need the bats to swing, but if you can plug a hole in the outfield and save some runs, especially in big ballparks, right? You got parks like Miami and Arizona where you got a 410-foot wall. You can only carry 25. Oh, until September 1st. Got it. That's why I got confused. That's what gets me confused. Okay. Got it. So yeah, we'll see where he ends up. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets called up here at some point this year. So, like I said, fast outfielder, right? He'll plug a big hole out there in the outfield in those big ballparks. So if we got some visiting trips to places like, I know we're playing in Miami early on. I'll be at one of those games. There, I'm sure there will be a trip to Arizona early on because they like to get those warm weather trips done early in the season. I have been to a Cubs game in April. It snowed during that game, right? So they try to kind of like make some trips away from Chicago if they can help it early in the season, someplace where it's nice and warm. Um, but yeah, I honestly, just watching this kid play in spring ball, it's been exciting. Another player that's really showed out yesterday for the Mexico team. Um, Arias, I want to say is Aris, Arias. Pitcher. That's not it. Maybe it was. Yeah, Javier Assad absolutely showed out yesterday for Mexico in the in the World Baseball Classic. So, Cubs have got some exciting things going on for them this year. Um, just wanted to talk about that a little bit while I had time. It is 7:30 though, so we're gonna go ahead and we are going to raid the channel out. Thank you again so much for being here today. Thanks for being here this morning. This was a lot of fun. Um, as always, thanks to my dad for his sports expertise, coming in here, helping out. It would not be the same without him. He covers those gaps with his wisdom that I don't have, right? So always appreciative of that. And yeah, we will see you all later. Where are we gonna go? Oh, we're gonna go see Mrs. Ruby. If you don't know Mrs. Ruby, she is a Catholic food and drink streamer. She streams with her family. Just a lot of fun to watch. She does some really cool cooking on live in her kitchen, and I think she homeschools her kids. Her kids are always kind of like in there like doing stuff with her. So we're gonna go see Mrs. Ruby this morning. Hey, thank you all for being here. Love you all. God bless. Keep looking up, and we'll see you soon.